Stay curious, stay grounded, and never doubt the ability that you can contribute, and your contribution matters.
Hello everyone, welcome back to UNICEF Mongolia podcast. This week I'm very happy to have our deputy representative, Mrs. Yangbo. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I want to start our conversation with your personal story. Could you tell us a bit about your background? Where did you grow up? What inspired you to join development sector? And eventually, how did you come to Mongolia?
Thank you for the question. Well, I grew up in China, and I lived through a time of dramatic transformation of the country. When I was a little girl, I experienced and saw around me what it meant to live in scarcity of resources, with limited access to basic services, even basic infrastructure. But over the years, I also witnessed the country undergone profound changes in its social development, together with this very impressive economic growth. So I saw the whole community being lifted out of poverty. And that's when I realized that actually changes can be possible if you combine good governance, smart policies, and social investment in children. You can make changes for your people. So earlier at my career, I was working for this public sector institute as a researcher working on academic and policy research. I was proud of that job, but after a few years, I started to feel a bit restless. I think I was feeling not challenged enough. So I wanted to broaden my vision and to see how systems work outside the country. I also want to work more directly with people. So when a UNICEF job opportunity came across, I felt something clicked within me because it was able to combine my technical background in public economics with international development. I thought that was the right path for me. So I grabbed that opportunity and I joined UNICEF. That was almost 20 years ago. After that, I worked in China, India, East Asia, and the Pacific, and then UNICEF headquarters in New York. Each role has shaped me profoundly, both professionally and personally. About 5.5 months ago, I joined UNICEF Mongolia as the deputy representative for program. To me, this is my first time serving as a senior manager position, leading a larger team. For me, I feel incredibly fortunate to be working with such a capable and competent group of colleagues.
It's really nice to hear you say positive things about our team here in Mongolia office. It's also very interesting to hear how you find your way to the development sector, and also hearing about how the China situation was back in the days. And so thank you very much for sharing that.
Yes, my pleasure.
My next question is, you already mentioned that you've been to some very different places such as China, India, even UNICEF headquarters in New York, and now in Mongolia. So I want to hear all those experiences, and also now in Mongolia, what makes it very different from those countries that you've been working in?
Oh, actually, although my time here is short, I have a lot to say about Mongolia. Mongolia is truly one of a kind. So it's open, vast landscape, is deeply rooted nomadic culture, and its very strong national identity actually created a very unique, distinct environment for development work. But exactly the same features also present real challenges. We know many children are living in remote, rural areas, far away from clinics, from schools, from other basic services. We know we have long and harsh winters. We also see that climate change actually are making people's life even more unpredictable, particularly for those rural households. So it means that we not only need good policies and their implementation, but we need to have solutions that can overcome the logistic, environmental, and social barriers. What stands out for me, for Mongolia, actually, is the resilience of the Mongolian people. Mongolians are incredibly resourceful, community-minded, and they are increasingly open to innovation, from digital learning to environmental resilience. So with such a mix of tradition, resilience, and this readiness to try new things, actually really make working here incredibly challenging, but also very much rewarding. So that's my perspective of Mongolia.
So now at UNICEF Mongolia office, because you oversee all the programmatic areas as a deputy representative, so maybe for our listeners, could you give a quick overview about our programmatic areas and at the moment, what are your focuses?
At UNICEF Mongolia, everything we do is grounded in this one single principle. Every child deserves an equal opportunity, no matter where they were born or what their circumstances are. So this country program that we're working in focuses on several core areas. First, in health, nutrition, and development, we support maternal and child health, child nutrition, and early childhood development, particularly the first 1,000 days, which are very critical for the lifelong outcomes of the children. Secondly, in education, we make sure that children in remote rural areas have access to inclusive and quality education, and that includes early child education, digital learning, as well as addressing challenges associated with the boarding school systems. So in child protection, we support the national system to prevent and to address issues such as violence, abuse, and neglect, whether they take place at home, in schools, or online. So in water, sanitation, and hygiene, we're increasingly supporting the access to safe and clean drinking water and sanitation facilities, including with communities, schools, and public health clinics. And we also focus on the quality as well as environmental resilience. So in social policy, we are actually supporting the government to provide equitable and adequate public finance resources across all the social sectors that we work in. At the same time, we support social protection programs such as child money programs, which are actually reaching almost everyone, every child in the country. So in climate change, because the country is facing climate shocks very frequently, they can be drought, or worsened air pollution. So we are actually supporting communities, health and education sector to be more climate resilient in these areas. So everything we do actually are aligned with the Mongolian Vision 2050, the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, as well as UNICEF's Global Strategic Plan.
Maybe looking ahead to 3 years, what's your plan? What will be our pragmatic focuses? Maybe if there's any specific areas you can highlight, and also what are the maybe new initiatives that you are most excited to work on?
Thank you for the question. There are a few emerging priorities that I think our program is putting more emphasis on. Firstly is to tackle inequity. So in the country, we still see widespread urban-rural divide, as well as regional disparities in access essential social services. So what we are doing, as mentioned, that we're trying to advocate for the government, be them national level and subnational level, to prioritize child welfare in their development agenda. At the same time, we're advocating for more public resources to target those most vulnerable, because they have not benefited sufficiently from economic growth like everybody else. Another focus that I can think of is actually digitalization. We're supporting not only children, but the communities, and we're trying to bridge the digital divide so that to prepare children and young people to thrive in this very rapidly evolving digital era. So, thirdly, climate resilience has continued to grow in importance. So we have been supporting communities, health sector and education sector to be more resilient for the climate shocks. At the same time, we're working with partners to promote green skills development as well as environmental education. By this, we are incorporating children to be part of the solution for the future.
That sounds exciting. And now shifting our conversation again back to your personal experience, because you built an impressive career in the development sector. So I want to know, how was it like going through all the levels from the entry level to now in the leadership position? Who inspired you, and is there any specific challenges or experience that shaped how you lead today?
Thank you for your compliments first. Actually, it has been a journey of growth, and actually sometimes also self-doubt. So as a woman coming from Asian countries, and also a developing country background, I quite often find myself in spaces where people like me were not the loudest voice in the room. And I also felt the cultural differences from the modesty-based and collective value system that I was raised with, and the more assertive Western leadership style that has been dominant in international spaces, including in UNICEF. So for quite some time, I didn't regard myself as a leadership material. I was having self-doubt on that. But over the years, I was able to see women leaders, some with a very similar background of mine, but they lead with empathy, they lead with strength and humility. To me, that has been super impressive, because they were not that loud, but they're equally, if not more, effective. To me, one role model in this regard is actually Miss June Kunagi, the current regional director for UNICEF's East Asia and Pacific Regional Office. She has inspired me as such. So that acknowledgement was a turning point for me, that actually leadership comes in different forms, and it takes more than one way to lead. I tend to think that I wanted to lead in a way that's inclusive and collaborative, I am very keen to create more spaces for younger professionals so that they speak up, they own their work, and they make changes that they can lead by themselves. I also want to acknowledge that for women professionals in our workplace, particularly those like us from Asian background, it takes extra effort to reach where we are. So that actually deserves recognition and support. So I think in my capacity, to the best I can, I would really want to uplift them. So that's my reflection on this issue.
I really appreciate you giving an honest answer for this question, because many people often think that those who are at the leadership level, they were always very confident with themselves and always sure of themselves. But hearing about your answer, I think it will be very inspiring for the younger people who really want to make a career in the development sector, that you also had those moments doubting yourself, but now look at where you are already in the leadership position, and every day you are leading with empathy and inclusivity. So that's really inspiring to hear for me, and also I think for the younger generation. So thank you very much for sharing that experience. And before we close up, I want to ask if there is anything that maybe I didn't ask. Also, if there is any messages that you would like our listeners to take with this conversation.
Actually, my message would be very simple and clear. That is to stay curious, stay grounded, and never doubt the ability that you can contribute, and your contribution matters. So for us, working in the development sector, we actually do not have really fast-paced development progress every day, and the work may not be all the time glamorous. But behind the scenes, the quiet data generation to support evidence-based policymaking, transforming system and policies, and closed-the-door advocacy. These are what really matters, and that's what's really worthwhile and meaningful work for development. So if you care about fairness, inclusiveness, and want to achieve lasting changes, there is a space for you in international development. So Mongolia has so many passionate and capable young people. I do hope many of them will choose public service, policy making, and international development sometime in the future. So just keep staying curious, keep connection to your community, keep thinking that how differently can I do to make the society more just and more inclusive? And then that's when you can leave no one behind.
I do agree that staying curious and grounded is a very simple message, but at the same time it's very important, because often we forget that because of our daily busy life. So thank you very much for that message. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
It's totally my pleasure. Thank you.